Hello everyone, FiFi and Sam here for another Midweek Musings, which have been a little bit sporadic of late for various reasons, but we're here now. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm so I mean things aren't really sort of much better than they were when we last spoke, but sort of on the musings, but you know, keep plodding on.
We do.
That's all you can do. I did have a very good weekend. We celebrated 2 years of our Basingstoke stand in the park, which was
Right.
amazing. Jam for Freedom come down and play for us. And we had a little party in the park, some food and drink and music and dancing. And I was shaking the tambourine. The tambourine, but it's a vital part of
It
any
is.
kind of musical
Mm-hmm.
performance. But no,
Integral.
so yeah, that was uplifting, and that certainly gave me a bit of a chance to sort of just forget everything for a little while and enjoy being with my soul family and yeah, so that was nice. How are you doing?
Right. Yeah, not too bad. Well, as you know, very up and down. Lots of stuff going on every level imaginable. Um, I think it's always reflected, isn't it? Like the world out there is a reflection of in here and vice versa. And so it's like it just seems to be like a constant processing of shit, really. But like you say, we just sort of keep plodding on as best we can.
All we can
You just,
do.
yeah, you just let yourself have those spiraling moments. Don't fight it. Makes it so much harder. Just, accept and allow, and it seems to pass a lot quicker. But
It
there's
does.
definitely stuff going on an energetic level, and it's easy to just kind of internalize it and assume like, oh, it's all me, this is all my stuff. Of course there is all our stuff, but it's very much part of this whole much bigger thing. And as with everything, it's never just us going through these things. Like, you probably speak to every other person, they'll be like, yeah, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. So that's kind of been me.
It is what it is, and we just keep yeah, putting one foot in front of the other, taking one deep breath after another, and eventually
Try and smile when we can.
quite right. We've got quite a lot going on in the UK at the moment, haven't we? Which
Yes. Hmm.
we have our own ideas about, and yeah, there seems to be quite a few ideas among people about what's going on, but we thought we couldn't really have a musings without musing upon the
Yeah.
WhatsApp drama
Oh
that is
God.
unfolding in the UK right now.
It is a drama as well, isn't it? It's like all eyes are on this thing. And everyone's got their kind of opinions and ideas, and which is absolutely as it should be. We've got our own.
Yeah, we had our little pre-chat this morning, and we're both very much in the same place on this, aren't we? It's a big stage managed production.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be viewed as such. It's we are of the mind that it's very much
Part
yeah.
of it's the it's the drip feeding, isn't it? It's the limited hangout. So it's not to say that the stuff that's coming out isn't true. Of course it is, that all of this stuff has happened, but the idea that you've got these few bad eggs that have somehow come up with this on their own, or it's one government. This is a worldwide agenda that's been in the planning for we don't even know how long. There's evidence of it going back hundreds of years or more. So I think also, as you were saying when we were having a chat before, where is this information coming from? The very establishment, corrupt to the core, rotten, entirely, absolutely controlled, owned outright by the very same people who are pushing this agenda. They're the ones now telling us, oh, you know, this is what's been happening, and isn't it terrible? And oh yeah,
It's
it's
quite painful to watch. I've got to say, it is
yeah,
quite painful to watch. And it's sort of headlines everywhere. Um,
yeah,
you know, various different messages and points that are being made. The biggest one that caught my eye was, when do we deploy the new variant? Which, you know, very much kind of sums up this whole, that it was so calculated and so manipulated. And yes, it's, you know, it is great that there is some truth coming out, and
yeah,
hopefully, you know, people will kind of, you know, pay attention. But of course, it's not the whole truth.
no,
And it's a massive distraction from all the other things that are going on. And as with, you know, most things, you know, in the media, look for what they're trying to do. When there's a big story in the media, look at what they're trying to distract you from, and also have a look at which garden path they're trying to lead you
yeah,
down. Because, you know, they let's be honest, they've not suddenly had a crisis of conscience and gone, we need to hold our hands up and tell the truth about this. You know, if they've spent, let's just talk about the last 3 years. Let's ignore the fact that this has been going on for decades. But, you know, they've been lying and manipulating in a very calculated way about one of the biggest things we faced as society in, you know, living memory for most people. And you know, there's absolutely no way that, you know, they're suddenly sitting there and going, yeah, we've got to be honest now. It's time to be honest. They're no. A lot of people have mentioned, and it's certainly, you know, where we've come from, you know, big red flashing light at the WHO pandemic treaty, you know, that's
yeah,
creeping in as well. And you know, remove faith in the existing structures, and it's all been so terribly handled. How did we let this happen? We
yeah,
need to do something to make sure it doesn't happen again. So, you know, that is all coming, but as you say, you know, it's I don't think it's a negative thing, and I, you know, I think it should still be viewed as useful. um
yeah. I mean, the fact they're having to crisis manage in itself, it's because they are very, very aware they're having to do all of this stuff to kind of run ahead a bit of the Great Awakening, which they're very, very aware of. All of this is in response to. So, okay, they might be manipulating still and trying to steer it this way and to still bring about this, you know, their horrendous vision for humanity. Um, but my God, the hoops they're having to jump through, the things that they're having to do, and they're on this 24/7 just to try and keep the juggernaut moving. The good thing is that so many people have immediately said, oh, yeah, well, this is
we see
convenient.
you.
Yeah, and that, yeah, this would be the perfect way to pave the whole, oh, governments can't be trusted with this, governments can't be trusted with anything. And so, oh, but what now? What do we do then? Oh, look, da, 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 to the
Problem,
rescue.
reaction, solution.
Exactly, but people are aware of this.
Yeah,
You know, that's
yeah.
the thing. Everything that they're trying to do so covertly, it's people are onto it immediately. So it's not this, oh God, well, we're stuffed then, you know, whatever we do, it makes no difference. It does. It really does. You know, in an ideal world for them, they wouldn't have to be doing any of this. They would just have carte blanche over humanity. We'd be these little serfs, you know, just fulfilling our duties to the parasites. They can't do that because we have the divine spark. We are these, you know, with this unique creation that they can't control, which they hate. So it's their absolute, you know, that's the one thing that they want, is to have us in this permanent place of you know, suppression and just ground under their heel. It's not working. And just think of the amount of energy that they're having to pour into this to try to cling on, and it's not working. The truth, because it is a vibration thing, it is frequency, and as we're moving into the, like David Icke calls it, the truth vibrations, truth frequency, something a lot along those lines, that kind of really dense energy, the evil and the lies, they can't remain hidden. It's coming out. People instinctively, intuitively know, hang on, this isn't right. So whatever they try, we're ready for it. So it's not
And I
this
think,
negative thing. We're not being like totally cynical and, oh well, you know, it means nothing. It's still quite an indicator of where we're at. It's just they're trying
yeah,
to control
absolutely.
it.
And I think in terms of you know, everybody out there who has sort of, you know, condemned us and told us, you know, that we're crazy and, you know, none of this is happening. And I don't mean in a big I told you so way, although, you know,
We did.
I'm only human. I still know. But no, I mean it's much easier. Obviously, you know, there is so much going on right now that people need to be aware of. And for a lot of people, until the media actually sort of says to you, this is what's happening, they won't believe it.
Yeah.
And they are now being shown that the government has been lying and manipulating and controlling and calculating, you know, all of this unnecessary, harmful stuff for years. And so it is much easier then for them to be able to, you know, see that actually perhaps they're still not being told the whole story. That if this has gone on for the last 3 years, that if all of this bullshit has been going on for the past 3 years, then what else are they doing? And I think, you know, it's certainly something that we can use to our advantage in terms of making people aware that yes, they are being told some truth, but there is a lot more to it than that.
Yeah.
Dazzle for a start, and all the other you know, agendas that are playing out with, you know, the control of movement and all sorts of other things. But it is much easier for us to be able to kind of raise awareness of the things that we can change, that our voice can make a difference to, and sort of bringing everybody together in a place of, yes, we have been lied to. Are we going to continue to give power to all of these people who have been lying and manipulating us for the past 3 years? Are we going to continue to give them their power? Or are we going to take that back and stand together as a collective and say, no, actually, I don't have any faith in you. I don't have any faith in the WHO, because obviously they were a big part of the pandemic response. So are we going to give our power to them, or are we going to take it back? And I think it is an opportunity for us to be able to come together and empower each other to take it all back.
Yeah, 100%. And we just got to be ever vigilant, because this fucking lot have been in power for thousands and thousands of years in one form or another. They ain't gonna go easily. This is the end of them. This is biblical. This is like shit that you can barely imagine. So it's going, we've got to be mindful of all the little traps that they set. They think through their algorithms and studying us and tinkering with us and experimenting on us, that they know us inside out. And in some ways they do. In some ways they know us better than we know ourselves. They can predict behavior, but what they cannot predict is the human spirit, the divine spark, the thing that makes us,
it can't be
what we
quantified,
are.
and it can't be controlled or underestimated.
And it can never be predicted. So when they're telling us that we're these, you know, ultimately very selfish creatures, we only do anything for our own benefit in the end. It has been proven time and time and time again. There is something way beyond our little personalities and our little concerns, our conditioning, you know, of what makes us this sort of character. There's something way, way bigger animating all of this. And when that steps in, which is, it seems to be what's happening more and more, they haven't got a hope, because it's, as you say, it's uncontrollable. It's outside of their remit. They can't touch it. They are running scared. And it's just, we should have a lot of hope. I mean, this can only go one way. It can only go one way. But we're looking at this cabal, the obsoletes, the parasites, whatever you want to call them. They've had their way for a very, very, very long time. They are very devious. They're very clever. Not as clever as they think they are, but in some ways, you know, they really are on it. So they're going to fight to the death, and they'll try whatever they can. But in the end, it's consent. It's our consent. There are universal laws in place that they will try and flout. They'll try and pretend, you know, don't exist. There are things in place that cannot be stepped over. And when we know that, when we understand that ourselves, it starts to crumble away. And we're heading into that now. But of course, they're going to be the rockiest times, because when they're under the most threat, obviously they're going to really be pushing back. So we just have to watch for things. You can't just take things at face value because it seems to be on our side. There's always going to be an angle until we're free. And then there's no chance of being having the wool pulled over your eyes, because it's literally not possible, because you are all seeing, you're all knowing, you're all understanding, you're all powerful. But until we're at that point, they're going to be trying, you know, to weave their little web and pull us back in. So just watch it. That's all.
Watch it. But there is, you know, we were talking as well that, you know, this huge kind of collective shift, you know, and we're all, as we're both going through, you know, having to confront a lot of things about ourselves and our lives, and doing the kind of real work to kind of, you know, move forward with you know, integrity and towards, you know, a more whole and genuine kind of existence. And it's obviously, you know, right now with the WhatsApp messages is happening to the collective. You know, you've had these absolute die-hard lockdown jabs mask fanatics who are being presented, you know, with
Their worst
evidence,
nightmare.
and the yeah, it's all being pulled down around their ears, and you know, they're going to have to face up to a lot of stuff as well. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on which kind of all feeds into this kind of leveling up in some way of really kind of addressing the things that are holding us back, so that we can move forward. And you know, that's definitely where we are in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're, even when you're aware of the fake power structure and so on, to actually embody your power, your sovereignty, yourself, it doesn't just happen because you're aware that there's a lot of theory around things, but when you're actually asked or called upon to put it into practice yourself, my God, it is going to throw up everything at you to deal with. And that's absolutely what I've been going through, all kinds of stuff. But you know, I was talking to you earlier about we were talking about what it is to, you know, to do what is right over what is the easier option, or, you know, or let's just, yeah, another time where you can't anymore. You can't. You're faced with stuff that you cannot continue to feed with your compliance. So I'm kind of there finally with putting all the council on notice, all of that stuff. I've been very aware of all of this stuff for a while, but I've not actually had the time to really spend on truly understanding the enormity of the scam and what they've been perpetrating against us, because that I find is where you can stand in your power with it, because it's like,
Yeah.
yes, this is right, this is, it's not, we've been absolutely indoctrinated to believe that, yeah, you owe, you owe these people. This is how it is, this is how it's always been. And when you actually genuinely delve into it, oh my god, and so I'm at the point where, well, I can't continue, even if I can afford to be paying these outrageous sums for God knows what, all the tax, and it's shocking. I can't continue to feed this system, to prop this system up. Yeah, there's an element of risk to it, but it's the right thing. So you've got that voice in your ear, but it is that stepping up, that leveling up, and it confronts things in you that
Yeah.
are the weaker part, that doesn't want someone coming after them, that doesn't want to be threatened. And as much as we can be really bolshy and on the streets and really, not taking any shit with certain things, there are other things that just trigger, and it's one of them for me. But at the same time, there's an element of bravery coming in because it's the right thing. It gives you that little spark of courage, because it is, it's the right thing, even though you're scared. And that's what true bravery is. When you're, it's all very well if you're not really. I've been called
Mm,
brave for all kinds of stuff. It's like, I'm not actually, because it doesn't frighten me. So that's
yeah.
not really being brave. It might be for someone else, but for me, something like this, it takes courage and bravery. Others,
And it is a
they're
process,
just, yeah, to get
because
there.
I think, what there's a lot of stuff about this, obviously, within groups and stuff. Well, just stop paying it. Just do this. Here's the templates, and here's this and that, and they can spell it out with all the easy steps, and you can get to grips on a very kind of practical level of what needs to be done and how to do it, and you can have all of that, and that's great. But what it is in here, the psychological aspects of actually beginning that process, is not something that happens overnight. For
No.
many of us, it is not something that you can just wake up to this scam and go, it's a scam, right? I'm opting out of
I'm
this.
out.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this. It doesn't happen overnight, and it is a process of addressing those triggers that are within you, and
Mm.
coming to terms with so much stuff,
Oh,
and kind of finding that place within yourself where you can find that courage and that bravery to take those steps kind of into the unknown, into that fear, into that risk, to really kind of do it. And
yeah.
it's not easy, and I don't think that I have come across a certain amount of judgment for people that haven't entered into that process that you're doing now. And it really does bug me,
Mm.
and quite a lot, because, as I say, it's all very well having all this practical stuff, but actually it's in here that is the biggest mountain to climb, and there are many people who will take longer to
Yeah.
get to that point
I mean,
where, and we're all moving towards it, but we
yeah.
have to be patient with ourselves and each other, because we've all got so much stuff kind of going on up here that
Yeah.
needs to be sorted
And in
out and needs to be
here,
addressed.
it's,
Yeah,
yeah, it's honestly the childhood traumas and memories and things that are triggered from something seemingly totally unrelated. But see, it's all to do with the personal power. And if you've not genuinely felt it, embraced it, embodied it, then yeah, you're going to be confronted with these things, like these things that, yeah, about all kinds of stuff like safety and security and just being at the mercy of others. And it's not something that you can talk yourself out of up here, where it's logical. No, don't be ridiculous. It's not. It's an actual kind of lived experience that you're working through. It's a massive shift. So for me, something like this, which a lot of people, they've just got on and done with it, and bloody brilliant, good on them, absolutely. But like you say, it's very easy to judge from another place when you're not you haven't lived that experience, that makes something that for you it's like, oh god, don't worry about it. You're like, oh my god, you're in this paralyzed state because of your experience. So we do all kind of get there in our own time.
I definitely, we need to be patient with ourselves. Our whole lives, we have grown up with these structures and this programming and this indoctrination and these ideas of who we are and how we should live and what's the right way to live, and the expected behavior, and all of this stuff that
Mm,
has been fed into us since birth. And actually, you know, seeing through that is a start, but working through that and processing that and breaking free of that is a journey that we're all kind of on. And we do need to be patient and understand that it isn't, a switch that you suddenly understand the world and therefore you can cope with it and take it on and wow,
mm,
it's challenging everything we've ever been taught,
yeah,
and coming to terms with it, I think. And yeah, I think we need to be a bit gentler to ourselves while we're
yeah.
going through all of this stuff.
And it's on every level. I mean, that's just one example,
Yeah,
of something.
yeah,
It's everything, isn't it? We're being challenged by relationships, like just so much is being thrown up in the air, all of these revelations, but on a very personal level as well. um
yeah. We all expect, I think, well, I certainly grew up expecting a certain way of life and how my life would pan out, and um what it would look like, and you come to a point and you
best
realize that
laid
that doesn't
plans.
actually resonate with
God.
who you truly are, and what feels right to you, and kind of moving away from everything you expected, from what everybody else expects from you, is, yeah, it's tough because you're not quite sure where that's going to leave you. But
The
again, it's something where if you
indoctrination.
don't do it, if you don't kind of be true to yourself and do what feels right for you, then you kind of just won't know, and you'll
Mm,
sort of spend your life in limbo. And it's sort of a great leap into the unknown, and embracing who you are and what you want and what you need.
mm.
Um, Acknowledging that and going out to get it, I think, which is
And it's going to be forced on people, for lots of us. I have felt like a bird whose wings have been clipped, just being in this life, just being, just this, the
yeah,
frustration. I could literally picture myself as swathed in chains and just
totally.
trying to break what chains that I've absolutely
Yeah, yeah,
put
yeah, yeah.
myself in, as
Homemade
well
chains.
as or I've accepted, I suppose, from society, and all of this notion of freedom. Like a lot of us have had that, but for those that haven't, now it's going to be coming out, because we're literally being squeezed now to the point where the small freedoms that, well, that are perceived as freedoms, they're being taken away. So what is left? So we're all going to be going through this anyway, and it's just no way to live. It's absolutely no way to live. We're here for a little while. Who wants to spend their time, bless her,
Right.
every time. That's
every time.
agreement, you see. The turtle's like, yeah,
Yeah.
right on. Yeah, it's just like, what is the point? What's the purpose in just literally trying to survive? Survive for what? To die at this point, rather than here, it'll be there, but you'll be fucking miserable and scrabbling by for that amount of time. But it just goes to show how fierce the programming is. And I'm always rattling on about it, that the fear of death is really what underpins that's their sort of their ace card with all of this,
Yeah.
is they can play that at any time, because they've totally lied, they've confused and manipulated the truth about, you know, passing out of this onto the next bit and what we truly are. So they can always pull that one because it's that primal and you'll do anything, and it does become a very physical, it's not even thought about, it's that immediate response that you will do anything to survive. And so of course you're absolutely controllable, and all of these fears that we have that seem totally unrelated to death, if you go through them and pick them apart, what's underlying it all, it's the survival thing, it's the safety. Hence me like worrying about bailiffs or whatever, which is ridiculous. But when you really sort of pare it down and go through it, like take it down and down and down, it's the safety thing, survival. And we're all going to be faced with that more and more. But I do have this sense of it's just around the corner, of that stepping into and genuine fearlessness. I know it's there, and I know it's there for all of us. I can feel it now because it can't go any other way. I can't turn away from it, much as I'd maybe like to. You know, like it'd be a lot more convenient, a lot easier in the short term. But it's there, and it can only go that one way. And it's like, oh God, it's almost like being on a roller coaster. Like, you know, what I can't remember, is it Oblivion? Was it years ago?
Is that the one where you hang on the edge?
Oh God. And you're sort of going
I remember
along to
being
that
on that when I
bit
was a
like, oh,
teenager and just hanging. Oh my God,
and
I've
that
never been so
split
terrified in all
yeah,
my life.
that moment, and you're like, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And it's the most terrifying but exhilarating thing. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how I view it, that there will be this shocking terror because it's an absolute eradication of everything that you've known.
Yeah.
But on the other side, whoa, what a rush. Oh my God.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
it. So it's very, very scary, but very exhilarating times we're in. And we're going to be like this all the time, as I will attest to, from
And
one day
me.
to the next. You know, it just seems to be part of it, and we get through it as best we can. But yeah, we're on that trajectory now, no matter what. And yeah, it's been a bit of a varied discussion, this, hasn't it? Well
Yes.
done for keeping up, if you're still here. But yeah, that's
Yeah. All gonna be all right. We can feel it. If you don't feel it, trust us. We can feel it. We know. We know. It's all
yeah.
gonna be all right in the end.
In
Just
the
gotta,
end,
make it through that,
yeah,
crazy thing. Just, somewhere over there is some, beautiful, much less stressed, panicky, scary existence. And we are traveling towards there, and we will get there. Just hang on tight to those people that help you through.
yes,
See each
absolutely.
other through.
Yeah, that's the great thing, is that we don't, well, everyone's going through it for a start off, so we're not on our own. And yeah, we don't have to be on our own. So there we go. Anything else? Have we got anything to add?
I don't think so.
Anything that needs, oh, there is another public consultation
Yes,
on
the
the,
cash.
yes, it's to do with the
Experiences of using cash. That ends on is it the 9th of March that
yes, you've got a
ends?
couple of days. I'll
Perhaps we'll
post,
put the link
yeah, because we Save Our
in
Rights
here.
Again has done a really great guide to how you can
I
answer.
did it before Save Our Rights brought out the consultation. And I was
Oh,
like, I might just do it again. I
it's
didn't put any identifying details, so I might just do it again. You have an extra response.
yeah. I mean, it makes life so much easier because they do try and trip you up in these things, and just the way things are phrased. So yeah, it's another really important one. Good thing is with cash, it's definitely on the rise. Like a lot of people are using it more. So I think they've got a bit of a tough one on their hands here to try and
They have,
demonize cash.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think I know there are a lot of naysayers about consultations and what's the point and blah 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 negative
No,
Nellies.
they
But it came up in my Facebook memories. I'll say it quickly and then we'll head off. But about this time last year, the results of the public consultation on the jab mandates for NHS and care staff, and
yeah,
actually out of 90,000 odd responses, 90% didn't want them. And you know what? They didn't come in. And
yeah.
and yes, it wouldn't have been just that, but that would have played a very big part. So I
Mm,
think, yes, there are downsides to completing these consultations, and yes, you can think it's worthless, but actually you don't have to give any identifying details.
no,
So it's worth a shot, I think, personally. Just my 2 pence, but
no,
yeah.
I agree. Yeah, definitely. It's always worth making your voice heard. And, we shouldn't really, at this point, be worried about, oh, they might use that's my details or whatever. That doesn't sound like someone who's standing in their power. So, anyway, yes, with that, we will see you in
Next
what is it,
week.
a week? Next week?
Next week.
Yes, have a good one. And yeah, take care. We'll speak to you soon.
Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.